Hey, it's Carrie's Canary Quilts, and we are not on the final week of doing the Dear Jane Quilt Along, but the final blocks. It's been a long haul. It's been almost an entire year doing this, with 1 week off, I think, for Thanksgiving. We just took that week off. Other than that, every week we've had at least one block and up to 5 blocks most of the time that we did this year. You do not have to go at that pace at all. If you're just starting, you can go at your own pace. So if you're new here too, you can find my playlist on my YouTube channel. And if you want to just find a specific block, you can search that block and it will take you to the video that has that block in it. Oh my gosh, it is just crazy that we are here. And guess what? This last week isn't too hard. We have, I think it's the last 4 weeks, we have not had any modifications. Maybe 5 weeks. No modifications. So we've just been going into EQ8, grabbing our blocks and doing them. And I can't believe we're here. It's kind of weird that I'm going to fill in the last few spaces on these quilts. You know what? I got to switch to my color quilt. Let's add it. Let's go to my color quilt. There we go. This is what I want to fill in right now, is the colors. So I'm using EQ8. This is the Dear Jane add-on, which is well worth the cost of it. And you get to put in this color quilt and take a look at the colors you're using. And then at the end I do a photo quilt, which you just saw from last week. That was my last week's photo quilt. I like to populate this and just see what it's going to look like. I'm trying to utilize all of the Dear Jane add-on that I can. So, just a little bit of business here. We're going to take a few weeks off here in December. It's Christmas time. Let's take a break. I want to get started back up in January again, finishing this quilt out. And I'm going to come back January 10th, where I'm going to be talking about the sashing. Calling that week 49. The sashing and the cornerstones, going over those and getting those done. Take 2 weeks for that, and then we're going to address the Dear Jane triangle borders and assemble those borders, which I'm calling week 50. Take a couple weeks for that, and then we are going to go into the scallop borders, figuring out how to get those onto our quilt. And then the end of February, I'm going to be assembling this quilt. Oh my gosh, it's so weird that we're going to be doing that. And then I am quilting this by myself. I'm going to be quilting this myself. So I am going to do a row a week of quilting. Dear Jane add-on shows you how each block is to be quilted, or at least the way Dear Jane quilted it. So I'm going to utilize that part of the Dear Jane add-on for EQ8. And spend a row a week quilting this. And then a week for the border blocks and the corner blocks and the scallops. So by the end of June, I should be done. If I can stick with this schedule. I hope I can. I did this year. It was a lot, but I was able to do it, so I'm hoping I can stick with this schedule. But just so you know, if you're going forward, you don't have to quilt this yourself. Take it to a long arm, have them do it. You don't have to do the scallop borders. I am just trying to put this together as close to Dear Jane as I can. I know the colors aren't the way she did it, but you know, with the scallop borders, the quilting and all that, and utilizing almost all of the Dear Jane add-on for EQ8. So that's a little bit of business here for that. And let's go back to EQ8. I want to populate my quilt here with the last few blocks, which we are working on. LS12 button hook. That's that one right there. That's going to go there. I got to rotate it. Rotate. And then next one, LS13 watermelon. Rotate, and then our very last block, which is bottom right corner Sarah Jane, and I need to rotate that. Never it just was weird. Never thought I'd see this day. I knew I would see it, just never thought I would, and it's here. We have finished this out, so congratulations. I'm proud of you. I'm proud of me. It was a lot of work. And again, if you're not as far as this, that's okay. You can go at your own pace. Finish this in your own time. Take your time doing it. It is a lot of work. So let's go over to the blockwork table, take a look at these blocks before we start constructing them. First block is LS12. It's called Button Hook. And if you take a look at the draw, there is 2 applique pieces right here. And that's it. So we need to print those. I'm going to do, there's no modifications. Foundation is pretty straightforward. You've got this section right here that needs to be put together, and then you just add on there. So it looks like a lot. It's not. We have done similar pieces to this in the past, so I do believe it all fits on one page, which is always good. Save some paper. And so you can print your foundation paper piece like that, and then we can go over to the templates. And which templates do we need? I think we need Y, that tiny little template, and X. Where is X? There's X. It's hiding over there. So you can delete all the other templates and just print those 2 templates for our applique. So I don't foresee that being any issues. Next block, LS13 watermelon, and I'm assuming it's called watermelon because these look like seeds. Anyway, the petals are applique, so seems like late in these last few blocks we've had a lot of applique to do. But anyway, let's take a look at the foundation. It's 3 sections, so you can print it all on one piece of paper. We've done this before, so that's not going to be too hard. And then for our templates, we need the petals. And the petal, let's see. This petal right here is different than the rest of them. So just keep that in mind. You will want to mark that petal. It's just a little shorter and squattier than the other ones. So that's all we need to print for that. So that's not going to be a hard block to put together, and it's going to be beautiful, just like all the other blocks. Very last block is bottom right corner. It's called Sarah Jane. It's got this star, and it's got this appliqued flower. So we go over to draw. You can see the petals here. You can see the star down here. Let's take a look at the foundation paper piece, which is not very many pieces. These 4 pieces make up that star corner, and then we've got this large piece that will hold our applique. And then our applique is just the 6 petals. Oops, I gotta go to templates. And you just need these petals. They're all the same, so you could just do 1 petal. You could just print this one and duplicate it 6 times onto your fusible webbing, or however you're doing your applique. So, whoops. So there we go. It's going to be an easy finish line here. This is not going to be hard. It's going to be fun, and I'm looking forward to it. So anyway, hit the subscribe button, notification bell, and let's get started on our blocks. Last week of the blocks. Can you believe that? We are on week 48. Oh my goodness. Anyway, so we are going to be doing the last 2 border blocks today, and we're starting with LS12 button hook. This is what it looks like. These top 2 pieces right there are actually applique. I have those there, and I have printed the templates. And so we've got our pieces here, and I've got my cut pieces. If you want to use my cut pieces, I do have them available on my website, and the link is down in the description below. It's kind of, you can kind of tell where these go. You can see where all the squares go. You can see the rectangles, the triangles. These long pieces are for these. And the same with the white pieces. So And there's my applique right there. So I'm looking at this piece. I think if we do this piece, it translates to all the other pieces. So let's get started. I got all my other pieces done over here. And I'm going to start on my B piece. So when I'm looking at this, I personally want to do these two first. And then I'll put this one on. So I'm going to change this number 3 to 2 and this number 2 to 3. So that I can take my 2 triangles and just put them together, and then I can start that way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, so my number 1 is light color, so that's going down first, or on the bottom. And then I'm just gonna lay it 1/4 of an inch over number 2. Sew on the line right here between 1 and 2, my 1 and 2, and lock stitch at the intersections there. There's my first 2 pieces. Next, we need to trim for what I'm calling my 3rd piece. Grab my square, and now we can sew right here on the line between 1 and my 3. There we go. Now we can move over to piece 4, which is another white square. So we'll get that trimmed up. And 4 and 5 are going to be exactly the same, so I'm going to get both of those put on right now. I got all my pieces on for the bottom row, and now I'm going to trim for my 6th piece. Go across all these seams. It's fun to do that. And put my piece on. It's plenty big because right here is my seam allowance. It goes off the paper. So I'm going to sew right here on this line underneath B6 and get all my pieces trimmed up. I got my pieces trimmed and laid out. It looks a little weird, but I think once you get all these sewn together, this section especially will shrink up quite a bit. So where do I have everything? My A section is down here in the bottom left-hand corner. Then we're going to go up here and we're going to move down. We've got the B section, then the C section, and you want to make sure your colors are alternating right here. Then we have the D section, and you want to make sure your half square triangles are right over here on the right. Then we have our E section with the short edge, the short white piece over here on the right. And then our F down here to make up the right-hand corner. Then G will complete this edge over here, and then H up here completes the top of the block. And this right here is where our applique will go. So what we need to do first is start putting these together this way. So it looks like it's mostly right angles, which is nice. So I'm going to line these up with right angles until I don't have right angles anymore, and then I'll let you know how it lines up. I'm going to try to iron these open too. Here's my first 4 sections put together, and there was always a right angle that I could line it up with. This piece right here, we can line up. It is hard to see, but there is a seam right here, and we can match seams up. They do nest. So that's what I'm going to do here. I'm going to match those seams up, and that notch falls perfectly over there. Here's my right corner put on. Now we want to put the left corner on, and the same thing here. There's 2 seams right here that I'm going to match up, and the notches fall perfectly over here. Here's the bottom of my block, so we can now add this piece on, and these 2 seams right here line up, and they will nest. So that's how I'm going to put this piece on. I'm going to line those seams up. And I'm still ironing my pieces open. Now all we have to do is add this top piece. So let's see how this lands. It looks like the notch up here will fall on the side of this piece. So that's how I'm putting it on. And I'm going to iron towards this piece, the white piece. There's my block. Now I just have to add my applique. So the first diamond is going to line up with the point of that square. And then the top is going to line up here. And then this utterly tiny piece, that's going to go on too. And that's going to meet up with that point on that diamond. There we go. That is Where is it? Right here. LS12 button hook. I wonder why it's called button hook. She doesn't say. All right. Cool block. Next block and last border block, can you believe it, is LS13 watermelon. That's what it's going to look like. It's a combination of foundation paper piecing with some applique. There's going to be 4 pieces we're going to applique on. So this is going to be pretty easy to do. It's made up of 3 sections that are literally exactly the same. It just depends on how many pieces are down here. So I've got my larger white rectangles, which correspond here, and these 2 dark and light rectangles are all in the bottom here, and then my applique right here. So my goodness, let's put together the middle one, and then you'll be able to put together the other 2. Forgot to mention that my cut pieces, if you want to use them, are available on my website, and that link is in the description down below. Here's my bottom piece and my top piece are finished. These are really easy to put together. We're going to be working this way on the bottom, then we'll add the top. So down here I need my rectangles, and white is number 1. So that's going on the bottom, 1/4 inch over number 2. We have, our pieces are plenty big here. So I am going to sew on the line and lock stitch up at that point. There's my first 2 pieces. Next piece is my white. So fold on the line next to 3, trim to 1/4 inch, grab a white rectangle and line it up. Plenty of room. 4 and 5 are exactly like these, so I'm going to finish those out and come back and finish up with 6. There's all my pieces put together. Now we can trim for our top piece. And again, these are the pieces I like to trim with all the seams in them. And then we'll put our final piece on. And it's off my paper, so it's plenty big. We're going to sew on this line right here, get everything trimmed up, and put our block together. Here's the 3 sections we just did. We just need to put them together from bottom to top to bottom, however you want to do it. I'm going to iron towards these white pieces when I put my seams together, and then we'll put our applique on. And I did mark one of these with P because that's the one that goes up top. It's a little bit different shape. Here's my block. And I have this one marked as P. That's going to go up here. Q is going to be right here in the center. And then these 2 pieces are going to be down here. These 2 pieces will float in here in the middle of my white triangles. My Q will be point to point with these seams right through the middle of this white triangle. And then my P will line up with the point at this blue triangle right there. So let's start at the top. I think the floaters will be harder. All right, there's my top piece. There's my middle piece, and now I got to do my floaters. There's 1 and 2. So there we go. That is the last of our border blocks. LS13, it's called watermelon. Maybe because these look like watermelon seeds? Well, our last block, our very last block is the kite on the bottom row corner. And this is what it's going to look like. This top part is all applique. We have a little star to put together down here. So I have done my applique down here. I've transferred it. And that's my templates. And then this actually is the background for that. And that's back here. That's this big piece. So I will put that on in a minute. And there's my templates. And then this is all we have for foundation paper pieces. So I mean, we know where the pink goes, all these little triangles. These smaller rectangles are the small rectangles you see here, and the large ones are the large spots. So let's put together this one, and if I see anything I need to show in the other ones, I will do that. So you can get my cut pieces that I use right here on my website, and the link is in the description below this video. I put these pieces together. They were really easy. I made my pieces big enough that you don't have to put them on and trim any first pieces or anything like that. Same with this. My pieces are big enough that when you start with A1, you can just use the square and you don't have to trim for that weird angle. So we're going to start in the middle, move to the right, move to the left, go to the top. So here we are on the back. Here's 1 and 2. 1 is pink. I'm going to lay it so it's over my 1. It's over this line. It's 1/4 of an inch over the line to 2. I'm going to grab one of these and just pulling it down a little farther down here. It's off the paper and it's plenty big to make it out to the edge. So we can now sew on the line. Right, lock stitch right there, and you can sew out to there between 1 and 2. There you go. Can't see any lines, so we've got plenty. So now we're going to trim between A1 and A3. Grab our other square, do the same thing, line it up about 1/4 of an inch over this line, and we can sew on the line between A1 and A3, lock stitch up there. Now we're ready for our top piece. We'll get it trimmed up. Grab our square, line it up. Make sure it's outside of your seam allowances. And then we can sew on the line right here. And then I'm going to get my pieces trimmed up and we'll put the bottom part of this block together. I'm going to put this together and I put it together wrong. So I just want to tell you right now, I have 2 sections together. I have B and C together. This is A section. So B section is going to be over here with the C section right here, and then D is going to come over like this. So I've ironed my B and C open. Now I need to put my D over here, and this notch over here lines up with that. So I'm going to get this sewn on and iron it open. There we go. This is the bottom part of our star right here. So I'm going to sew this part to this part to complete the star. I'm going to put A onto this section. And the points of A notches land on each side here. I can pull that piece of paper off. And I'm going to iron this open. This is how it's going to go together. This bottom piece is going to go up here. So I want to have some of my petals here and in the middle. So I am going to fold this in half. And see about laying these out now. I was afraid maybe I had it too close, but the petals are pretty close in the picture. So I think I need to move that down a little, that up a little. Like that. So this is my crease right here, and then I've put these 2 in on the crease, and then I'm arranging these 2 around it. That's how I'm going to do it. Let me know how you're going to do it. So I'm going to get these put down and we'll be done. There we go, our last block in Dear Jane. It's the bottom right corner and it's called Sarah Jane. There we go, we did it. We finished it. We finished all our blocks inside the Dear Jane quilt along. Quilt's not done, but the blocks are done. Whew. Pretty easy week, I would say. Not too hard. More applique up here and the petals in here. Those weren't hard, and then this wasn't hard at all. And that's a pretty block. I like it. So these kites are really pretty. If you're new here, I used the photo quilt inside the Dear Jane add-on for EQ8, and I like to put my photos in here. And I'm going to get to fill in the last of my photos and see potentially what my quilt will look like. Whew, it's crazy. I know. So we have LS12 is going in. LS13 is going in. And bottom right corner is going in. Wow. Doesn't matter how fast you're doing this at all. You can go at your own pace. And if you would like to do it in a different order, you can go to my YouTube channel and just search for a certain block and find the video that has that block in it. I am going to be taking the rest of December off, first week in January, and then we're going to start back up. I showed you at the beginning the schedule that I'm going to try to adhere to next year to put the rest of this together and get it quilted myself. So, thanks so much for watching. I appreciate you. I'm proud of you. I hope you have a very happy holiday and a very safe holiday. Hit the subscribe button, notification bell, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.